Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a major update on the markets, the latest Fed meeting from yesterday and what the charts are telling us about what's coming. Make sure to watch until the end because I'll show you what's next for Bitcoin, the crypto market and your favorite stocks. So let's dive in. What happened yesterday? The Fed has decided to keep interest rates at 4.25 to 4.5%, citing increased economic uncertainty and a downgraded growth forecast. The Fed raised its 2025 inflation projection to 2.7%, up from the previous estimate of 2.5%. The real GDP growth forecast has been lowered to 1.7 for 2025, down from its projection of 2.1%. These are not the best numbers to get a loose monetary outlook. I know. And it means no rate cuts until June. That's right, no rate cuts expected until the mid of the year, because that's when the Fed has its next meeting. Further, the Fed expects 2 rate cuts later this year, but remains cautious due to concerns over economic growth and inflation. So the big factor Powell was pointing out are tariffs and inflation. The Fed highlighted concerns that tariffs are making inflation harder to control. But here's where it gets really interesting. Trump now has reasons to drop the tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Why? Immigration from Mexico is down 94%. Canada has launched new special forces to combat the fentanyl trafficking. Fentanyl imports to the US have dropped significantly. So the main reasons for these tariffs that Trump was pointing out are already improving. And Trump could drop them without losing his face. But what is Trump's next move? And why is he not lowering the tariffs or erasing them yet? Despite Canada and Mexico making major policy changes, Trump hasn't removed the tariffs yet. But is he keeping the uncertainty in the markets on purpose? Could that be? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you want a deep dive into why Trump could actually be doing this on purpose, let me know in the comments and I can make you an extra video to this topic. Because I think there are some reasons. Alright, and before we jump into the charts, I want to show you this. Goldman Sachs mentions crypto in shareholder letter. Says tech raising competition in banking industry. This is the first time that they actually talk about crypto and that they mention it to their shareholders. This is just a reminder how far we have come. They speak about it in the US government, they speak about it in the shareholder letters, Goldman Sachs first time mentioning. I think this is big news. And make sure you watch the video until the end, because then I have the chart that is more important than every other one that I show you now. And just a little reminder to where we're standing and that we're not just in a bearish mode. To see what is happening, we're gonna have a look at the Fibonacci zones, and if we put them on the chart here, this is how you use them. You find them here on the tool on the left side on TradingView, and then you connect the low with the high, and then it shows you the important resistance levels. When we look at that here, you can see exactly we touched the Fibonacci level and we bounced from there. The problem is now that this bounce might get too weak, and to get confirmation you can always see that horizontal support and resistance are always very strong. So you see that we're touching the high from July 24, and now that we're underneath it, it's a test of resistance and not support anymore. So what we want to see now is that we break above here, retest it and bounce. The problem is with the news from yesterday, I don't really see that coming. I rather see that we go here, chop around a bit and then actually sell lower. And then hopefully finally find support on this level. Hopefully finally find support on this level, which would really fit with the expectations that in June the Fed is meeting again, and maybe they completely stop QE and maybe we get an interest rate lowering on that meeting. We have to see. So this is the next interesting level we watch, and so far there is a downside risk of around 10%. If this happens, altcoins and crypto is gonna get wrecked for sure. When we overlay our Lux Algo signals here, you can see that we touched a green cloud, which is strong support. We bounced from there, but we are in a strong downtrend. The trend is continuing as long as we don't make it over the red cloud here. There is no sign of strength in the market, and the likelihood is strong that we continue our downtrend. When we go to the Nasdaq 100, which includes the biggest tech stocks of the US, it's a very similar picture. If we put the Fibonacci zones, you can see we had the same thing here. We touched the level. We claimed it as support, but we are struggling. And we're even lower than on the S&P because we're below the high of the year before. The likelihood is that we go one level lower and have to test that. When we look at Bitcoin, you can see we haven't touched our level yet that we spoke about last time, which is the high from last year. It's around 74,000. We haven't been there yet. We had a strong bounce here. And what is interesting is that on the RSI, you can see that here, we're building a bullish divergence. What does that mean? It means that we have a reversal movement, a reverse movement. So we go down on the price, but high on the momentum. The RSI shows us the momentum. And this usually signals a strong momentum that is hidden, that is about to break the chart towards the upside. It's just that with the news that we got now and seeing that traditional markets are not doing so well, I don't really see how we're going to break to the upside. It can happen that Bitcoin decouples because so far Bitcoin has been stronger than the S&P 500 and has been stronger than the Nasdaq 100 because they are below their highs from 2024 already, while Bitcoin is actually performing quite strong. But with the news that we just got, I don't really see how the markets can turn, except Trump really releases the tariffs that could lead to a relief rally, which could lead to higher highs. Otherwise, my base case is still that we come down here, we test this level at support and bounce from there. And if we don't hold it, the 62 are the next level, which would be not good, which would show a lot of weakness in the crypto market. And the scenario I was actually waiting for didn't happen because I was hoping that we get the end of QT. You can see on ETH Bitcoin, we had a little relief here. We went back above our level, which is a very, very strong level. It's a very, very strong level of support. If you go on the longer time frame, you can see it quite well. If we look on the longer time frame here, you can see it's a level we've tested quite a lot. It was in December 20 before we had the upwards rally, we tested this. We had struggled to get above it in October 19. So it's a very strong level. You can see we touched it here in September 16. So this is the levels we look for that have a lot of action over a long time frame and multiple signals. Now we can see that we are struggling to hold this level. Like we claimed it back. Now we're testing it. And best case, we hold it. Worst case, we fall lower. The problem is that I said end of QT would probably lead to a relief because all the times before when we had an end of QT, Ethereum Bitcoin bottomed. Just this time the expectations were high, so I was like, okay, this could be the bottom. I was about to buy Ethereum if they end QT, but now they haven't done it. So there is a risk that we actually come lower because the next meeting is in June. And it's very possible that Ethereum is not gonna outperform against Bitcoin until June, until end of QT really arrives. And to avoid this risk, I'm not gonna put a trend here. It's too risky for me to just jump in on that and hope for the best. I rather wait it out and see where we're going. If we have to test this level, maybe by the time that they're gonna end QT, could be here, maybe before, and see if we can build strength from there. Before we don't have an end of QT, I don't really see how this is gonna happen. One strong chart I want to show you is that the exchange reserve of stablecoins is at a record high. We have 45 billion in stablecoins on the exchanges, and you can see there was a massive profit taking in November to December of last year, which correlates with the high. December, November, it was like people selling into the high. It was quite an obvious high because if you look at the 2-week RSI, we spoke about the 2-week RSI on Ethereum. If you haven't seen that, check out my video. It's very important that you see how it can signal the bottom and the top. There it is. And here you can see that every time we touch this line on the 2-week RSI, it looks like a local high. We got super close. I look at it on the I look at this on the monthly chart because the conviction is higher, but on the 2-week we could see, okay, there was a signal here that we're quite high in March 24, and then we went even higher in December, which signalized the bearish divergence that we spoke about. It's the lower high while we had the higher high on the chart, which is the opposite of what we see now in small, and on the longer time frame it's even stronger. As longer the time frame is, as stronger is the signal. So what we could see here is that we were losing momentum while the price was going higher. So obviously this was a signal for many people to sell some Bitcoin, to take some profits. And now this money is on the sideline. But this is very interesting because the people are not spending the money. They keep the money on the sideline and it looks like they're ready to invest again. They just wait for the signal. And I know that a lot of traders are like, okay, if we see QE and if we see that they can actually achieve a soft landing and we don't have to go into recession, I'm ready to buy. Or they wait for a recession and a big crash to buy then. We have so much powder on the sideline. We never had this much powder on the sideline. So I think the possibility that people enter the market as soon as they get the signals they want is very high. I'm sure that this level is a level that a lot of people look at. So we will see a lot of volume flow into the markets as soon as we cross the 74. And this is what we're waiting for right now. And the final chart. As promised, don't freak out about the small movements, but actually focus on the big movements, because this is the only chart that matters right now, and that's the global M2 money supply. So this chart is gonna rise because Europe is putting liquidity into the market. I made a video about inflation, you should watch that. China's putting liquidity into the market. Japan is probably gonna raise the interest rates in July, which usually has an impact on Ethereum. Let's see how that plays out. But what we can see is that Bitcoin usually follows the M2 money supply. We have a correlation of 98%. And what we see right now is that they go in different directions. You can see that here when we zoom a bit in, that the Bitcoin price was dropping while the M2 money supply is rising. And now that they said they're going to slow down QT in the US, it will support. In Europe, they put 500 billion up to 1 trillion into the market. And China is actually also putting 1 trillion into the market. And other countries are following. So global liquidity is coming. Just be patient. Don't lose your head. Just wait it out. Be patient. And Bitcoin will follow. We just have to sit this out. It's possible that we get a rally now. It's possible that it takes until June, but sooner or later our rally is going to continue. And if you don't have any crypto yet, you can start accumulating or wait for the next low. It's very possible that we move at some point and the move is going to be quick and sharp. I'm pretty sure about that. So that's all I have to say for the charts. And don't lose your head. Just zoom out, look at the big picture and stick to that. And that's been it with the charts for today. So we come to the final question. Do you want to miss any updates on future buy, sell signals or any information about the market? If you do, then just close the video. If you don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave me a like and a comment, and see you next time. Ciao.